Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible? Like no matter how loud you scream inside, no one hears it. No matter how hard you try, no one really sees you. Today's story is about a boy named Julian, a kid who spent most of his life running, but never really getting anywhere. It's a story about pain, about growing, and the quiet power of finally being seen. By the end of this story, I hope you realize something important. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to remind you you are enough. Julian was 9 years old, but inside, he felt exhausted, like he'd been running through a storm with no shelter, soaking wet, out of breath, still being told to run faster. His mom, she meant well, but the comparisons never stopped. Why can't you be more like Ethan? Why can't you be more like Chloe? Every word chipped away at him. The more he tried to be himself, the more he was told, that's not enough. So Julian stopped trying to shine and quietly asked the question many of us have whispered, if I'm never going to be enough, what's the point? The basketball court used to be his escape, but now even that felt like a test he couldn't pass. School, a trap, another place where he failed to measure up. And the pressure? It didn't push him forward, it shut him down. So Julian did what many of us do when life gets too heavy. He built walls. He stopped chasing love. He stopped feeling altogether. Because if you can't feel, you can't be hurt, right? But is that strength or just another way we abandon ourselves? Then came the moment that cracked it all open. Julian was on the basketball court, running, like always, and then he fell hard. He broke his arm. But what shattered wasn't just bone. It was the dam he'd been holding inside. When he looked up, expecting comfort, his mom didn't flinch. You broke your arm? You figure it out. That moment hurt more than the fall, but it gave him something else, clarity. The world wasn't going to hold him up, so maybe he had to learn to stand on his own. But he also realized something softer. Numbness doesn't protect you, it isolates you. And healing? That starts when you let yourself feel again. Then came the phone call. His dad, absent, distant, was dying, and he wanted to see Julian. He didn't know what to expect, an apology, regret, love. What he saw instead was a man surrounded by success, but completely alone. That moment hit him. This is what happens when connection comes second, when you chase titles over touch, when you forget the people who need you most. And Julian asked himself a question we all need to ask, am I becoming this? Eventually, his mom, out of ideas, sent Julian to live with his sister. He expected silence, coldness, more of the same, but instead, she asked things no one else had. How was your day? What made you smile today? How do you feel? And she meant it. It wasn't interrogation. It was invitation to be, to feel, to matter. For the first time, Julian felt seen, not because he achieved anything, but because he was him. And slowly a forgotten truth came back. I am worthy of love. But Julian didn't stop at healing. He took what was given to him and gave it away. He started showing up for people, listening more, judging less, becoming that person who simply says, I see you, because he knew what it felt like to feel invisible. And now, he wanted to be the proof that no one else had to. As he got older, Julian stopped chasing perfection. He stopped living for applause. He studied, he struggled, he grew, not to impress anyone, but because he wanted to become someone he could respect. He realized true strength doesn't come from hiding pain. It comes from owning your story, from saying, this is me, flaws and all, and I still deserve to be loved. Years later, Julian stood on a graduation stage, diploma in hand, and in the crowd he saw her, his mom, crying, not because he was perfect, but because she finally saw him. And Julian realized he didn't have to change the past to become who he was meant to be. He just had to accept himself and offer others the same grace that saved him. So if you've ever felt invisible, like your voice doesn't matter, Know this, you don't need to be louder, stronger, or more like anyone else. You, exactly as you are enough. Sometimes all it takes is one person to remind us of that. Be that person, not just for yourself, but for someone else who's still hiding behind the silence. If this story moved you, pass it on. Comment below, what's one moment when you finally felt seen? Let's keep showing up for each other. Until next time, take care.